She didn't ask me to sit down. She didn't even look up from her phone when I walked into the office. "Pack your things and leave," Victoria said, her voice flat and cold. "You're fired. Effective immediately." I stood there for a moment, processing her words. I had been with Belmont Industries for 15 years. 15 years of late nights, missed weekends, and building systems that kept this company running. But none of that mattered to her. She finally looked up, her perfectly manicured fingers tapping impatiently on the desk. "Did you hear me, Alex? Or do I need to call security?" I smiled. Not a big smile, just a small, calm one that seemed to confuse her. "I heard you," I said quietly. "Have a good day, Victoria." Then I walked out with my head high. The walk to my desk felt surreal. Around me, my co-workers pretended to be busy. Their eyes darted away when I looked in their direction. They had all heard. In a company this size, news traveled fast, especially when it involved the boss's daughter, making her first big move. I had trained half these people. I had hired a quarter of them. But corporate survival meant keeping your head down when someone with power decided to swing the axe. I packed slowly, methodically. My engineering notebooks went into my bag first, then the framed photo of my mentor, old Mr. Belmont himself. He had hired me straight out of college, saw something in me that nobody else did. Now his daughter was erasing me like I had never existed. My phone buzzed as I zipped my bag. It was Marcus from accounting. "What happened?" his text read. I didn't answer. As I drove home, my mind kept replaying the moment. Victoria had taken over as CEO just 2 weeks ago when her father stepped down for health reasons. Everyone knew she had been waiting for this chance, circling the company like a shark for years. She had her MBA from some fancy school, her expensive suits, and her complete lack of understanding about what actually made Belmont Industries work. She thought being the boss's daughter meant she knew everything. I had seen this pattern before in other companies. New leadership comes in, wants to make their mark, starts cutting people they see as threats or remnants of the old guard. I just never thought I would be the first casualty. But what Victoria didn't know, what nobody knew except Mr. Belmont and his lawyer, would change everything. I met Theodore Belmont on a Tuesday afternoon 15 years ago. I was 23, fresh out of engineering school with decent grades, but no connections. The interview was supposed to last 20 minutes. We talked for 3 hours. He didn't just ask about my technical skills. He asked about my family, my values, what I wanted to build in life. My father had been a factory worker who died young from a workplace accident. Mr. Belmont nodded slowly when I told him, understanding something in that story that went deeper than words. "I started this company with my hands," he had said. "Built the first prototype in my garage. These fancy MBAs, they know spreadsheets. But you understand what it means to build something real." He hired me that day. Over the years, Mr. Belmont became more than a boss. He was the father figure I had lost. He taught me everything about the business, not just the engineering side, but how to navigate corporate politics, how to spot talent, how to build loyalty. His daughter Victoria was different. She had grown up wealthy, attended private schools, and traveled the world. She saw the company as her birthright, something she deserved simply for being born. Mr. Belmont and I never talked about it directly, but I could see the worry in his eyes when she visited the office. She would walk to the factory floor in her designer heels, barely acknowledging the workers, already planning how to modernize and streamline once she took control. "She doesn't understand," he told me once, late one evening in his office. "She thinks business is just numbers on paper." 6 months ago, Mr. Belmont's health started declining. His heart was giving out. The doctors said he needed to step back, reduce stress, maybe retire completely. Victoria had immediately started positioning herself as a successor, bringing in consultants, scheduling board meetings, making it clear she was ready to take over. That was when Mr. Belmont called me into his office for a private conversation. "Close the door," he said. His face looked tired, older than I had ever seen it. "Alex, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you years ago." He pulled out a folder from his desk drawer, the kind lawyers use for important documents. "I never had a son," he began. "Victoria is my only child, and I love her. But she doesn't have the heart for this company. She sees profit margins. I see people. I've been updating my will, Mr. Belmont continued, sliding the folder across his desk toward me. My lawyer has the official documents, but I wanted you to know first. When I die, Victoria gets a house, the investments, everything personal. But the company, Belmont Industries, goes to you. I stared at him, unable to process what he was saying. Sir, I can't. You can and you will, he interrupted firmly. You've earned it. Every late night, every problem you solved, every person you trained. You built this company as much as I did. Victoria will fight it, of course. That's why everything is ironclad. The board knows. My lawyer knows. But I'm asking you not to tell anyone else. Not yet. Let me handle the transition my way. I had agreed, mainly because I couldn't imagine him actually dying. He seemed immortal, indestructible. But now, sitting in my apartment after being fired, reality hit me differently. Mr. Belmont had stepped down 2 weeks ago. Victoria had taken over immediately, and her first major decision was to fire me. She must have seen me as a threat, someone too close to her father, someone who might question her decisions. What she didn't know was that she had just fired the person who would soon own everything she thought was hers. My phone rang. It was Julian Shaw, Mr. Belmont's personal lawyer. Alex, I heard what happened. His voice was careful, measured. Are you somewhere private where we can talk? Yes, I said, moving to close my windows. Victoria fired me today. I assume you know. I do. Mr. Belmont called me an hour ago. He's not pleased. But here's what you need to know. His health is deteriorating faster than expected. The doctors give him maybe 3 months. Julian's words hit me like a punch to the chest. 3 months. Does Victoria know? I asked. She knows he's sick. She doesn't know how serious it is. He didn't want to tell her. Didn't want her making decisions based on inheritance timelines. Julian paused. Alex, the will is solid. When Mr. Belmont passes, you inherit the company. 51% controlling share. Victoria gets the remaining 49%, which is worth millions, plus all personal assets. But you control Belmont Industries. She's going to fight this. I said, let her try. Mr. Belmont made sure every detail is documented. Your contributions to the company, your innovations, the patents in your name. He's been building this case for 5 years. She can't break it. I leaned back against my couch. So what do I do now? Just wait. You document everything, Julian said. Every email from today forward, every communication with Victoria or the company. If she tries to sabotage you or spread lies about your termination, we need records. Mr. Belmont is devastated about what she did. He wanted to call her immediately and reverse it, but I advised him to wait. The stress could kill him. So I'm just supposed to sit here while she destroys everything he built. My voice came out harder than I intended. No, Julian replied. You're going to watch and learn. See what kind of leader she really is without her father's guidance. When the time comes, you'll know exactly what needs to be fixed. Trust me, Alex. This is going to work out. Just be patient. I hung up feeling restless. Patient. I had been patient for 15 years. Now I had to be patient a little longer. The first week after my firing was strange. I kept waking up early, ready to go to wake, before remembering I had nowhere to go. I started going through my old notebooks, reviewing projects I had led, innovations I had developed. The new quality control system that reduced defects by 30%. The supply chain optimization that saved the company $2 million annually. The training program that decreased employee turnover by half. All of it documented, all of it with my name attached. Victoria might have fired me, but she couldn't erase what I had built. My phone buzzed with messages from former co-workers. They were subtle, careful, but the message was clear. Things were changing at Belmont Industries, and not for the better. Victoria had brought in outside consultants who knew nothing about manufacturing. She was cutting budgets, eliminating programs, making decisions based on spreadsheets rather than understanding. Marcus called me on day 8. You need to hear this, he said, his voice low. Victoria held an all-hands meeting today. She told everyone that you were fired for performance issues, that you had been coasting on your reputation for years. I felt anger rise in my chest. Performance issues. Everyone knows it's garbage, Marcus continued, but she's trying to control the narrative. She also announced major restructuring. 20% budget cuts across all departments. People are scared, Alex. The good ones are already updating their resumes. What about the Thornfield contract? I asked. That was our biggest client, a multi-million-dollar deal I had personally negotiated. She assigned it to Brett Hammond. You know, that guy from her consulting firm who doesn't know a wrench from a screwdriver. I closed my eyes. Brett was competent with presentations but had no technical knowledge. Thornfield CEO was an engineer who valued substance over style. The Thornfield presentation is next month, I said. Brett's going to crash and burn. I know, Marcus replied. We all know, but nobody can say anything. Victoria made it clear she wants fresh perspectives, new blood. Anyone who questions her decisions is seen as being stuck in the past. After hanging up, I sat in silence. Part of me wanted to reach out to Thornfield, warn them somehow. But that would be sabotage, and I wasn't that person. Besides, I didn't need to interfere. Victoria was perfectly capable of destroying things on her own. 2 weeks later, Julian called again. Mr. Belmore wants to see you. Can you come to his house tomorrow morning? Of course, I said immediately. How is he? Fading, Julian said quietly, but is still sharp. He wants to make sure you understand everything before the end. Mr. Belmont's house was exactly as I remembered it. A modest 2-story home in an older neighborhood. Nothing like the mansion Victoria probably expected to inherit. He had always said that real wealth wasn't about showing off. His housekeeper, Mrs. Patterson, let me in with sad eyes. Is in the study, she said. He's been waiting for you. He looked smaller somehow, sitting in his leather chair by the window. But when he saw me, his eyes lit up with the same sharpness I remembered. Alex, he said, gesturing to the chair across from him. Sit. We need to talk. Sir, I'm so sorry about everything. Stop, he interrupted. You have nothing to apologize for. Victoria does. I raise her with everything, and somehow she learned nothing about loyalty or respect. He coughed, a deep rattling sound that made me wince. I heard about the Thornfield situation, Mr. Belmore continued. Victoria assigned it to someone completely unqualified. She's making decisions based on politics instead of competence. The presentation is in 2 weeks, I said. Brett doesn't understand their technical requirements. He's going to lose a contract. Let him, Mr. Belmore said firmly. Let her make her mistakes. She needs to learn, even if it costs the company money. When you take over, you'll rebuild. You'll fix everything she breaks. Sir, about that, the will is final, he said. Julian has copies. The board has been informed. Everything is documented. When I die, you inherit controlling interest in Belmore Industries. Victoria gets a share and all personal assets. She'll be angry, but the law is clear. He leaned forward, his voice intense despite his weakened state. Promise me something, Alex. When you take over, don't fire her out of revenge. His request surprised me. You want me to keep her on? I want you to give her a chance to learn, he explained. She's my daughter. I love her despite her flaws. Maybe working under someone who actually understands a business will teach her what I couldn't. Or maybe she'll quit on her own. Either way, the company's future matters more than settling scores. I nodded slowly. I promise. I won't fire her unless she gives me no choice. Good man. He smiled, then his expression turned serious. There's something else. In my desk, second drawer on the right, there's a sealed envelope. Don't open it until after I'm gone. It contains information about Victoria that might help you understand why she is the way she is. It's not an excuse, but it's context. We talked for another hour about the company, about his vision, about the people he trusted. When I left, I knew it might be the last time I saw him alive. The Thornfield presentation happened on a Thursday. I knew because Marcus sent me a message that simply said, "It's happening. Brett is presenting now." I tried not to check my phone every 5 minutes, but curiosity won. 2 hours later, Marcus called. It was a disaster, he said. Brett showed up with generic slides that could have been for any manufacturing company. Thornfield CEO asked 3 basic technical questions about our quality control process. Brett couldn't answer any of them. And they walked out, said they needed to reconsider the partnership. Victoria tried to smooth it over, but you could see the panic in her eyes. She realized Brett had no idea what he was doing. I felt no satisfaction, only sadness. Thornfield had been a good client, and we had built that relationship over years. Now it was probably gone because of ego and incompetence. The next morning, my phone rang at 6 a.m. It was Julian. I knew before answering what he was going to say. Mr. Belmorn passed away last night, Julian said gently, peacefully, in his sleep. I'm sorry, Alex. I sat down heavily, the phone pressing my ear. I had known this was coming, but knowing didn't make it hurt less. When's the funeral? Saturday. Small service, as he requested. The will reading is scheduled for Monday morning at my office. Victoria doesn't know about the inheritance yet. She thinks she's getting everything. She's going to fight this, I said. I know, but we're ready. Every document is filed, every legal requirement met. Mr. Belmore made sure of it. After hanging up, I sat in silence for a long time. The man who had been my mentor, my friend, my father figure, was gone, and the battle he had prepared me for was about to begin. The funeral was small and dignified. Victoria wore black designer clothes and dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief, playing the grieving daughter for the assembled crowd. I stayed in the back, paying my respects quietly. Mrs. Patterson saw me and came over. He talked about you constantly near the end, she whispered. Said you were the son he wished he'd had. He was so proud of you. Her words nearly broke me. After the service, Victoria's eyes found me in crowd. She looked surprised, then angry. She made her way over, her heels clicking on the floor. What are you doing here? She hissed, keeping her voice low. You were fired. You have no right. I'm here to pay respects to a man who meant everything to me, I said calmly, same as everyone else. He was my father, she snapped. Yes, I agreed, and he was my. Monday morning arrived cold and gray. I dressed carefully in my best suit and drove to Julian's office. The conference room was already set up when I arrived. Victoria was there, along with 3 board members and Julian himself. Victoria's eyes narrowed when she saw me. Why is he here? She demanded. Alex was specifically named in your father's will, Julian explained. He has a right to be present. Named for what? Some token gift. She laughed dismissively. Let's just get this over with. I have a company to run. Julian opened the folder in front of him. Very well. Let's begin. The last will and testament of Theodore William Belmorn is clear and legally binding. All personal assets, including the family home, investments, and savings, are bequeathed to his daughter, Victoria and Belmorn. Victoria nodded, satisfied. Then Julian continued. However, Belmorn Industries, including all shares, assets, and controlling interest, is hereby bequeathed to Alexander James Morrison. The room went completely silent. Victoria's face drained to color. What did you just say? The company goes to Alex, Julian repeated calmly. 51% controlling share, making him majority owner and CEO. You retain 4 to 9% as a shareholder, which is worth approximately $40 million based on current valuation. That's impossible. Victoria shot to her feet. That company is mine. My father wouldn't. Your father absolutely would and did, Julian interrupted. The will was updated 5 years ago and reviewed annually. Mr. Belmorn was very clear about his intentions. Alex built that company alongside him. The patents, innovations, and systems that make Belmorn Industries profitable were largely developed by Alex. Your father believed he owned ownership. Victoria turned to me, her face twisted with rage. You manipulated him. A sick old man. Careful, I said quietly. Your father was sharp until the end. This was his choice. The board members looked uncomfortable but unsurprised. One of them, Thomas Wright, cleared his throat. We were informed of Theodore's decision 6 months ago. The transition has been prepared. I'll fight this, Victoria said, her voice shaking. I'll contest the will. You'll lose, Julian said firmly. Your father anticipated this reaction. Every possible legal challenge has been addressed. The documentation is ironclad. You can try, but it will cost you money and time, and you will not win. Victoria grabbed a purse and stormed toward the door. Before leaving, she turned back. You haven't won anything, she spat at me. That company will fail under you. Everyone will see that my father made a mistake trusting some nobody from nowhere. Then she was gone, the door slamming behind her. The board members stood, shaking my hand one by one. Welcome, Mr. Morrison, Thomas said. We look forward to working with you. My first day as CEO of Belmont Industries felt surreal. I walked through the same doors I had been escorted out of 3 months earlier, but this time I headed straight to the executive floor. Word had spread fast. Employees watched as I passed, some smiling, others looking nervous. Victoria was in what had been her office, throwing items into boxes. She looked up when I entered, her eyes red but her jaw set firm. Come to gloat? She asked. No, I said honestly. I came to talk about the future. Your father asked me not to fire you. He wanted you to have a chance to learn, to understand what he built. I'm honoring that request. She laughed bitterly. How generous. You steal my company and then offer me pity. I didn't steal anything. I earned it. But you're still a shareholder and you still have value. The question is whether you're willing to actually work or if you'd rather quit and take your $40 million elsewhere. Victoria stared at me for a long moment. What exactly are you offering? A position as Vice President of Strategic Development. I said, you'll work directly with me, learn the operations side, understand why your father made the choices he did. No special treatment. You'll earn your place like everyone else. And if I say no, then you take your inheritance and leave. Either way, you will be successful. But only one path teaches you what your father wanted you to know. She was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. I'll think about it. You have until Friday, I said. After that, I'm filling the position. I left her office and headed to my first board meeting as CEO. There was work to do. Thornfield needed to be contacted. The budget cuts needed to be reversed. Good employees needed to be rehired. It would take time, but I would rebuild what had been broken. 6 months later, Belmont Industries was thriving again. Thornfield had renewed their contract after I personally flew out to meet with their CEO. The employees who had left were welcomed back with raises. Victoria had accepted my offer, and while we weren't friends, she was learning. She actually showed up to the factory floor now, talking to workers, asking questions. Last week, she had stopped by my office. I found the envelope, she said quietly. The one my father left for you about me. I nodded. I had read it months ago. It explained that Victoria's mother had left when she was young, that she had grown up feeling she had to earn love through achievement rather than just being herself. It didn't excuse her behavior, but it explained it. I'm sorry, she said, for everything. My father was right about you. He was right about a lot of things, I replied, including believing people can change. She smiled slightly and left. I looked around my office at the photo of Mr. Belmont on my desk and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. The company he had built was safe. His legacy would continue. And maybe, just maybe, his daughter had finally learned what he had been trying to teach her all along. Sometimes the greatest inheritance isn't money or power. It's wisdom, earned through humility and hard work.